I have something that I think is great news when it comes to Kadena, and what is that? We check this out right here. We'll see that Magic Labs expands ecosystem with Kadena integration. Now, furthermore, we take a look at the partnership expands multi-chain support, enabling developers to build scalable and secure decentralized applications. Now, in this article, it says dApps, but that's what it stands for, decentralized applications. But besides that, with Magic and Kadena, and again, I'm not talking about the magic you see in like Lord of the Rings. I'm talking about, Magic Labs right here. Now we take a look at this as well, right? Magic Labs, a provider of keyless, passwordless wallet solutions, has integrated with the Kadena blockchain to further expand its multi-chain ecosystem. We also take a look at further because, things are getting a little bit more cooking in my opinion. We take a look at by combining Magic's wallet infrastructure with Kadena's scalable and secure blockchain platform. This integration aims to make it easier for developers and businesses to build accessible and reliable on-chain applications. I mean, caralho, porra. This is very amazing because, this I think pretty much kind of silences all of the Kadena critics because they have to say, oh yeah, man, Kadena's caca. It's not going to gain attention, all this type of stuff. But you take a look at this is a pretty big partnership. Now, is Magic Labs like the biggest thing out there of all time? No, but you know what? Good news is good news at the end of the day. I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, this partnership is not significant enough. Oh, this one is caca. Well, you know what? Not every single partnership is going to be the strongest anyways. So the way I take a look at it is that this is very fantastic overall. And why would they not have a partnership with Kadena? I mean, Kadena, in my opinion, is arguably one of the best Layer 1 blockchains of all time. And yeah, I said that. And even though some people may think that, oh man, it's not that great. But, sometimes when I ask people, oh, why do you like Ethereum so much? They say, oh yeah, because it has a lot of fans. The ecosystem is, very widespread. There's a lot of projects. But when you take a look at the pure fundamentals, Ethereum is kind of lacking because they can't argue that Ethereum has good gas fees because it doesn't have good gas fees, in my opinion. They can't argue that it's very scalable because arguably, I don't think it's very scalable. Now, if they argue that, hey, Ethereum is being rescued by these Ethereum layer 2s that fixes this type of nonsense, okay, I agree with that. But when it comes to Ethereum purely as a layer 1 blockchain, I think it's pretty much caca. Now, you take a look at Kadena, it doesn't suffer from this type of nonsense. Why? Because it was built from the ground up to be amazing. Now, granted, was like Ethereum a pioneer for a lot of developers out there to see what went wrong with a layer 1 blockchain and how to fix that? Yes. So I can't really say that Ethereum is like, the most caca thing of all time. But when I take a look at Kadena, I just think it's a much better place to be for like any project, period. If I want to build a DeFi project, if I'm not looking for like fans or hype, if I'm actually looking to gain like real long-term value, I would much rather choose something like Kadena because again, I like the gas fees, I like the scalability, I don't like the type of nonsense that I often see with Ethereum. If something caca like Ethereum, by the way, with sky-high gas fees and again, scalability issues, hypothetically, if something like that can survive for that long, I mean, caralho, porra. Could you imagine how long something like Kadena could survive? I mean, this is something that's going to be around for decades, in my opinion. Now, this is just arguably speaking, but that's the way to take a look at it because Kadena is a very amazing layer 1 blockchain. When I see news like this, and on top of that, I combine that with the amazing fundamentals of Kadena, I think brighter days are ahead. And it doesn't necessarily mean that Kadena needs like the best adoption in the next 6 months to a year because in the world of cryptocurrencies, it doesn't really matter during a fully fledged bull run, and let me explain why. Because typically, people care about the anticipation. Think about this, right? When Solana pumped, back in 2021, was the ecosystem anywhere as good as it is right now? Absolutely not. So when people were FOMOing into Solana back then, they were anticipating that it was going to have a good ecosystem. And oftentimes, we see many projects out there, they pump first, and then later on, after they do have a massive pump, then the ecosystem does become a lot better. So when it comes to Kadena, yes, ecosystem isn't the best, but in my opinion, after this bull run is over, it could be a lot better. And I think that a lot of people, they're looking for that anticipation again during a fully fledged bull run. People usually move in trends, in my opinion. You take a look at first, of course, Bitcoin, they like that, right? Then they moved on to Ethereum. Then after people like, BNB, they like Solana. Right? They like these other layer 1 blockchains, and then they move on later to another project. And I don't see why Kadena won't be the next one because people are often looking for the next best layer 1 blockchain. And Kadena, it hasn't achieved that dinosaur status yet where it's too massive. It's still relatively under the radar because if you think about a good layer 1 blockchain, people don't think about Kadena usually. They think about Ethereum, they think about, let's say Algorand, Avalanche, but they don't really mention Kadena. But I do mention Kadena because I do like it. And is $25 still my price target for Kadena's native cryptocurrency during this bull run? Absolutely. That's not changing, because even if it were to go to that price, considering current circulating supply, market cap would only be around $7.5 billion. I mean, caralho. That's like so minuscule in the grand scheme of things. Like Dogecoin over 10x this, by the way, back in 2021. So I'm not like saying this is a crazy number or anything like that. Even BNB reached over $100 billion in market cap. And BNB is not that dynamic, in my opinion at least, because back in 2023, according to Crypto.com research, slightly over 2% of the crypto hacks that happened actually occurred on the BNB Smart Chain ecosystem. That's not good. That's unacceptable. I think that number should be like somewhere around like 0.5% if anything, because that's a little bit too much. At least that's the way I view it. So when it comes to Kadena, at least its native cryptocurrency at the price of $25 doesn't seem that insane. Market cap wouldn't be too crazy. And also on top of that, we've seen far more KDA, projects reach far higher than this. So that really wouldn't concern me. And if you take a look at even Charles Hoskinson, right, who is the co-founder of Ethereum. Now, I did bash Ethereum, but keep in mind, you take a look at Charles Hoskinson, he eventually moved on to Cardano, which I think is a much better layer 1 blockchain than Ethereum. Now, allegedly, people say he got fired, but who cares, man? He moved on to a better layer 1 blockchain anyways. But here's the thing as well. According to Charles, who's the founder of Cardano and the co-founder of Ethereum, he did mention in a video back in November 26, he stated how in the next year to 2 years, he could very well see, Bitcoin reaching either the price of $250,000 all the way up to $500,000. So keep in mind, that's either $250,000 all the way to $500,000. I mean, let's say $500,000 is a little bit too optimistic, or should I say extremely optimistic. Let's say we just scratch that out, right? Let's say we use like 250,000 as like, a prediction for what Bitcoin could be in the very near future. If let's say Bitcoin were to do that, could you imagine what happens to KDA? Like reaching the price of $25 at that point could seem like very easy peasy. In my opinion, I mean, again, around a $7.5 billion market cap. I mean, come on, it's not that bad, right? And I actually made a pretty good call on KDA because, you take a look at the price has had a pretty good pump, but I think better days are ahead because $25 is around a 16x from here. Not the best upside, but when you consider how much KDA has pumped, let's say doing an additional 16x, it doesn't seem so caca. But of course, it's just a waiting game. I think as of right now, it's just a small taste. I don't think the bull run's in even fifth gear yet. I think it's about second gear as of right now, but I think better days are ahead. Sometime in 2025, man, I think KDA could truly shine. But it's just a waiting game, which is why I'm still dollar cost averaging, still accumulating KDA on a consistent basis. I'm not giving up. And again, $25 is still my price target for this bull run. And you know what? People can say Kadena's caca, all this type of stuff. They can say that, Pact, the programming language used in Kadena smart contracts is difficult. They say, wow, it's hard to understand. People don't want to build on Kadena. I disagree with that. If someone wants to build something on Kadena, they're going to find a way. Much like people who want to build on Avalanche, Algorand, Ethereum, they found a way. You think the developers are complaining, saying, oh yeah, it's difficult. No, man, they're developers. That's what they do. They don't care about this type of stuff. But even besides that point, I think Kadena is fantastic. And again, KDA at the price of $25 during this bull run, that wouldn't be shocking to me whatsoever. But it's just a waiting game, which is why I'm still accumulating KDA, holding, and just waiting. And make sure to subscribe if you gain value from this video. I greatly appreciate it. It's been Lee the Captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.